I still can't believe we freaking interviewed Robert Pattinson and Bong Joon-ho.
What was it like sitting? Because you sat next to Pattinson, you were like an inch away from him. Did he put his hand on your lap?
I wish he did. No, it was so surreal. I'm still riding a high, but we finally, obviously, if you're listening to this episode and been seeing our Instagram and TikTok content and YouTube, we were able to finally post our interview with Robert Pattinson and Bong Joon-ho for Mickey 17. We did it like 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's a long time ago.
We've had to keep the top secret, NDAs, everything, and it's so cool to finally let the cat out of the bag and share it with everybody. The responses have been so outrageously amazing, and the comments, there were like 300 comments on the first clip we posted. We knew it would blow people's minds, but the reaction was so nice. It was so sweet to see everyone, just so many people, like proud mom moment, proud dad moment. I've been listening to you guys since 2020, and it is really, really nice.
Yeah, I want to break down the experience. We can give you guys like a POV. And again, welcome back to Raiders of the Lost podcast. We are the ultimate film and TV podcast. We're doing a little bit more of a casual episode today, just chatting and seeing what happens. And so to put you in the POV of an experience like this, it's really surreal, a little overwhelming, but also a lot of fun and exciting. So basically, they hit us up in early January, and they're like, we've
been working with a specific PR team that's been doing Warner Brothers releases. Like we did the Superman content. That's the same crew, the Joker Folie à Deux, same PR team. We've been working with them for about half a year now.
And then they were like, you guys, we'd love to have you guys for a Mickey 17 event. We were like, fuck yeah, let's go. So like they gave us like dates, and then we weren't sure it was going to happen because of the fires in LA, and something else that we had scheduled was basically taken off the shelf.
That was the Wolfman. We were going to have the director Lee Whannell on the show, actually, like as a full episode.
So we were also concerned, is this ever going to happen because of what was happening in LA at the time? It ended up working, and basically they give you a date, and they asked us to come up with questions. With something like this, questions have to be approved by Warner Brothers, their team, so we can't just like ask Pattinson about Batman or anything else like Bong Joon-ho about random stuff. They want it pertaining to the movie. They're marketing this movie specifically, and a lot of studios, PR teams, even actors and directors are like, they're tired of answering the same questions about their most famous roles from years ago.
Tobey Maguire and Spider-Man.
When they're trying Andrew Garfield.
No, but Tobey Maguire and Spider-Man for his whole life, he's asked about Spider-Man.
Yeah, and Andrew Garfield just had a interview where he's like, I'm tired of answering questions about it. He was he was the judge at a festival 2 months ago. He's like, I'm tired of answering questions about Spider-Man.
Are you going to be in Spider-Man 4?
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like, bro, I'm here to talk about these great movies.
Yeah, so it's important to you want to promote the film that they are trying to get people to go see. So they gave us a rundown. They're like, send us a bunch of questions. We'll approve what we like. They approved a bunch of our questions, and then we go to this location. In this particular case, it was a big soundstage in the middle of Hollywood. Not in a studio lot, but it's a private soundstage. Quixote Studios, they own properties, they own trucks and gear all over LA. They're one of the biggest companies in production for Hollywood outside of actual studios. And it was very similar to our job with PlayStation, where we go there, and it's this huge soundstage, as well as a gigantic like set of rooms for welcoming people, chilling out. There's like the hangout room,
green room, they have a catering
bathrooms,
room, crafty,
everything you
very
need.
Well set up,
And there's a bunch of people, and so we get there. They made prearranged cue cards based on our questions for us to read. PR team's super nice. They're all excited.
I kept those.
Yeah, we kept a couple. I got one right here.
Oh,
Mickey
yeah.
17.
Yeah.
If you could be a multiple, would you, why or why not, for Mickey 17, our little interview. And then we get mic'd up by a sound guy, and it took him a minute to figure out my mic setup. And
I think your wardrobe was having
my
issues.
wardrobe, yeah. I wore a t-shirt with a button up tucked into my pants, so he was like struggling where to put it. And then he ended up just untucking my shirt in the back and strapping it there. And it's fun getting mic'd up. And it's cool when we go to these events, because most events we go to, we're basically press. And so we're just there, we're on our own. But we've done this a couple of times now where we're the talents. And so PAs are ushering us. They're making sure we're comfortable, everything we have. And they bring us into the set. And so we go from this lounge room, and they walk us into this huge, gigantic, dark soundstage. And
by huge, these sound stages, they're massive. If you've ever done tours in LA at like Universal Studios and Warner Brothers, it's not that big, but they're probably like 300 feet by 200 feet.
It's got to be a football field.
Enormous rooms.
And it's mostly empty and dark, but they So they built a small set basically in the center of the entire soundstage, and the set it took pieces and motifs from the film. So it had the printer inside of there in the background, which is really cool. And then a couple of stools and chairs and tables for it would be eventually us and the other two. And so, but we were the second interviewers, so we watched just the nobodies, really great guys, and we saw them go first. And so James and I are sitting at the monitors at Video Village watching, and like Pattinson arrives, he like walks by like 20 feet away. We're like, oh, there's Rob Pattinson, Bong Joon-ho, and then the four of them chit chat, and then we're watching their interview. And this is where it's just like you're a little anxious beforehand, but I was very comfortable in the morning. I would
say, yeah, in the morning I'm fine. Getting there, I'm fine. It's just I'm not even really nervous when you meet the PAs, the second AD, and you get water, you get whatever you need. You're chilling out. You're just running through your questions. I'm more just hyper focused. I'm reading all the questions that I'm gonna ask to make sure I don't accidentally flub a line because God forbid I drop a card or I have the wrong card in the wrong place. Yeah. Just so I'm really familiar with the wording of the questions I'm gonna ask, so I don't have to just read them. So I like to I'll prepare the question in my mind and look at it, and then when it's my turn to ask a question, I already know what I'm going to say.
Yeah. But the 2 minutes leading up to us going out there, that's when it's a little nerve-wracking, and the PA pulls us up to wait outside the set.
That's when I was shitting my pants.
That's the moment where it's like, okay, here we go. Pattinson, Bong Joon-ho, they're sitting on the stage in between, and I think that someone was getting touched up, and they had to re-mic Director Bong, I think, and we're just on the edge of the set, and then they walk us in, and it's just like, here we go.
That's when I was most nervous. I wasn't nervous at all until we stood up, got taken by the PAs to the edge of set, like Anthony's talking about, and then we're watching Just the Nobodies finish up with Director Bong and Robert. Mm-hmm. They take a photo afterwards, and then I'm just like, heart pounding, like, oh my God, is this real? What is life right now? I don't even know what's going on. You're like outside of your body.
Yeah.
But then you go sit down, you shake hands with them, it's all gone. Yeah. All the nerves are completely gone because they're just guys.
I will say, I had to open it. That's the hardest part of the whole process of like, I have to intro the entire thing. And it's just like, there's 40 crew people staring at you.
At least.
They got like 6 camera setups, really, really nice cameras and gear, just like top of the line. And it's like, and then director's like, okay, so yeah, just intro it, and then you guys can start. And I'm like, fuck, all right. I didn't know what to say. I was just like, okay, I guess I'll intro it. And so I just came up with on the spot. I said something
you said, we love Mickey 17.
Yeah, can't wait to hear more
about it. I'm Anthony, and I'm scared. I
wasn't scared. I
want my mom. I want my mom.
I was not scared. It's just like
kidding.
It's just it's still there's a lot of pressure in that moment. But then once you get it going. And it's just because like I had to figure out what to say like right there.
You didn't think about it?
I didn't know I was going to intro.
Yes, you did. You said that's what we talked about an hour before.
Did we?
Yes, that was the plan.
Oh, I thought we meant like I'd ask the first question.
No, you literally came up with this to me. You said, "All right, I'll introduce," and then you asked the first question. I said,
"I guess so."
Perfect.
Yeah.
You came up.
It all blurred.
You came up with the plan.
Maybe okay. All right, maybe I did. But then when you're looking at an entire crew, I wasn't even. It's like I'm not nervous about Pattinson and Director Bong. It's just like. There's a whole crew watching you and filming you, and it depends on that opening. But once you start, once I said the opening and asked the first question, it's honestly just smooth sailing. It's chill.
And everyone's
you calm down.
Everyone's so nice and polite. Everyone's all smiles. It's just a great experience all around because the whole crew treats you so well. They're all treating each other really well. Everyone's being very formal and polite and having a good time. It's, there's a lot of money invested in this whole multiple day marketing thing. Like we're there. We're just a 10-minute part of their lives. Yeah. They're doing press all day. They had the puppies in there earlier. They're doing cake stuff earlier. So like all day they're at this soundstage doing all kinds of interviews with Rotten Tomatoes, different influencers, different creators for this movie.
Yeah.
Which is what it is. So, even though they're talking to people all day for weeks traveling Korea, they're still really nice. They're so polite. Rob was very nice. He's very silly and goofy like he usually is in his interviews, and it was fun to tap into that. Anthony really caught him off guard with the twin multiple thing, which was super fun. He got
improvised.
Great reaction.
Yeah.
Director Bong is just super nice. It was incredibly humbling and so fortunate to be in the presence of 2 all-timers. I mean, we're talking about Robert Pattinson, the actor of his generation. He's freaking Batman. And then Bong Joon-ho, one of the best directors alive, just being with them for 10 minutes to talk about their new movie was so exciting and exhilarating. And it was an awesome experience, and I hope we get more opportunities like this because it is really a delight. And the outreach from the listeners and the fans on all the social media platforms has been massive. It's been massive. It's so crazy. Yeah. And yeah, it's cool. And then that's it. And then you go home.
You go home. But it's so much better than a press junket. And a press junket is like it's set at a hotel or whatever, or online on Zoom, and you wait in line to ask questions, and you get like 5 minutes, 4 minutes, and you just get to run through questions as fast as you can. It's very, very fast, and it's not as exciting as like this was like it's like they built a set for it. You know, there were only a handful of people who interviewed them like we did. You know what I mean?
Well, so more than that.
Yeah, it was a special experience.
There's a lot of people, like I said, people were coming in and out all day.
Yeah, all day.
So it wasn't just a handful. Like we're not that special.
It was 3 people.
We're very special, but there were a lot of people that came into the studio over the course of a few days to do this stuff. They started dropping all the content yesterday. So did you see the cake thing?
I saw a bunch of stuff they did on their own. Just to camera.
Yeah, but like Screen Rant did their own interview. Rotten Tomatoes did an interview. So
ours is the best though.
A lot of people did interviews.
I'm really glad that I freaked out Pattinson. That was it was very satisfying.
It was just so odd to shake their hands. The most famous people I've ever met, probably will ever meet, with Robert Pattinson.
Yeah,
just shaking his hand. Unless I ever meet Tom Cruise, it's just so odd. I've seen his movies so many times. Same thing with director Bong, and then I'm literally like 3 inches between our knees. Because obviously the chairs are pretty tight. I'm like looking right here. It's Robert Pattinson's face right next to me.
It's a smaller head than you'd think.
Lovely guy. Yeah, he's tall. He's like 6 feet probably.
Yeah, easily 6 feet.
He's a little taller than us. Nice guy though. But yeah, it was just so cool, and it was fucking wild, man. It's fucking trippy.
Oh man, but it's a lot of fun. So I gotta say something. I have been crying like a little bitch at movies lately.
Why not?
The last 2 movies I've seen, I saw A Real Pain, and then I saw I'm Still Here before it, the Brazilian film that's up for a bunch of Oscars. So when I saw I'm Still Here, I was fucking sobbing. It was like embarrassing. I couldn't stop after the movie ended, so I had to put my sunglasses on to leave the theater. In the theater, the credits were rolling, and I put them on. And then I went to the bathroom. I go to the bathroom, right? I'm still crying. And it's like I felt like I lost a member of our family. Honestly, it was awful.
Anthony, this happens to him every once in a while.
I get really emotionally invested.
Fruitvale Station, and I was driving home because Anthony was sobbing.
This was another Fruitvale Station, and then I go to the bathroom. I go in the urinal, and it's 3 urinals, and you know the right choice. You choose either the far one or the first one. You don't do the middle one like a crazy person.
I do that now. Like, I don't care anymore. I don't care. I'm like, whatever, dude. Who cares? we're all. Then someone goes in between both of you, and then it's like, inevitably someone's gonna be peeing next to you. I think dudes need to relax at
No. If you go to the third one, then a new guy goes to the first one, then the middle's open.
I don't care anymore, man.
I'm just saying, like that's standard. That's etiquette.
Yeah, right.
Urinal etiquette.
It's not like I'm peeing on him. I'm just like saying, peeing next to you.
If there's 5 urinals, right, and there's a guy on 1 and a guy on 5, you're gonna go into 3.
Probably, but
not probably. Come on, you're not gonna go to 2 or 4.
I'm not gonna go to 4. But I'm saying, like,
you're gonna go to 3.
I've been in all kinds of bathrooms. Sometimes you're going in a trough with ice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Those are the worst. You're just like, oh man.
That's a pub in England. Like pubs in England, it's just troughs everywhere.
Just ice in them.
You feel like a horse.
But I was so I went to the third urinal, and then I'm still crying. I'm crying, but I also had to go to the bathroom. And then a guy goes to number 1. And then another guy goes to number 2, and I literally just turn my head and I cover my eyes because I was still crying. I was like, I was peeing and crying.
Peeing and crying?
I couldn't stop crying. I was like, that was me at the urinal.
I don't think I've ever done both of those at the same time since I was an infant.
It's a weird combination. You don't really do as much as an adult. You don't do that much as an
a baby. Yeah, it's constant.
Yeah, it's all the time. But yeah, I was just like, I had sunglasses on. I was just trying to hide my emotional devastation.
Well, I want to see I'm Still Here. Did you see New York Times has predicted Fernanda to be the frontrunner, the winner of Best Actress?
I gotta say, after watching the film, she should win Best Actress, and it's honestly, in my opinion, not even close. It's one of the best performances of the last few years, and probably, I think it's the best performance of the year overall. Of 2024. She fucking destroys it. Unbelievable.
Yeah,
fantastic.
That's a great way to put it. She fucking destroys it.
So good.
How good is she in the movie? She fucking destroys it, man.
Honestly, man. And man, it's a great film. I honestly, I saw it a few days ago, and it's still sitting with me. If I was gonna pick a Best Picture winner, I would probably pick I'm Still Here for Best Picture. And it was so well directed, and it was beautifully photographed, and it was just. I'm so pissed at myself. I waited until now to watch it, and I'm thankful that I was able to see it in a cinema. But December was busy, January was busy, tons of events, tons of movies to see, people visiting, holidays. So I never got around to seeing I'm Still Here. But luckily, being in LA, these films do play for a while. It's one of the few markets, LA and New York, where you can even still see this film. And
it's still playing Shrek 2.
It is still playing Shrek 2. They gotta make the money, I'm Still Here's not making that much money, but it's the best international film I've seen since Parasite.
Wow. All right, I gotta find a screening ASAP because I gotta see this. Maybe this weekend I'll find some time.
And it's a shame it hasn't gotten as much attention from the public because it really is an incredible film. Couldn't recommend enough. If you haven't seen it, go see I'm Still Here. But if I was gonna pick winners, like personally, not who I think will win, but who I think should win, Fernanda Torres should win Best Actress. And this film, I think, should win Best Picture. Out of the nominees, and I love Dune 2. Love Dune 2. I think I'm Still Here is the best picture of the year.
But for you personally, because I know Nosferatu is your favorite of the year, right?
Yeah, that's my favorite.
And then is I'm Still Here like top 3?
I'm Still Here is number 3 for favorites.
And then what? It's
Dune
Nosferatu, Dune.
Yeah, Nosferatu, Dune Part 2, I'm Still Here, then Challengers.
Bro, I'm season 2 of Severance, right?
Finally.
I'm 3 episodes in. The guy from Dune 1 is in Severance.
Wait, which guy from Dune 1?
He's what's his name? Henderson, the guy who plays the Atreides Mentat. Thufir Hawat.
Oh, yeah.
He's in Severance.
Wait, did I
when Dylan G goes to interview at the door
Oh,
company.
yeah.
It's a hilarious scene because they look so alike.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't believe it. It's the guy from Severance.
Doors.
So to stay on that for a second, I saw some behind the scenes photos recently from Dune Part 2 because I know that he filmed for Dune 2 as Thufir Hawat.
He was deleted from the film, yeah.
Hold on. Deleted from the film. That's a very Severance way to put it.
Yeah, he was severed.
It's a very Severance way to put it, Anthony. Hold on, let me pull. It's Curtis Henderson. I can't remember his name. Played by
he's the guy in Lady
Stephen
Bird.
McKinley Henderson.
Yeah.
He's in Severance for a scene. It's really great. But he's supposed to be in a big part of the movie, according to the book. Thufir Hawat becomes I'm spoiling the book for people if they've never read the book a little bit.
But they didn't adapt it in the movies.
They didn't put it into the movies. But Thufir ends up becoming Baron Harkonnen's Mentat. He brings him in and he corrupts Thufir to go against the rest of the Atreides family. Although he's still loyal to Paul, plays a significant role in the rest of the book with the Harkonnens. And as well as in the big finale, he has a part to play, not a huge part to play in the big fight between Fade and Paul. But there's BTS photos of Henderson on sets in the final fight. So I just want to see a cut with him in it.
Yeah.
There's probably a bunch of deleted scenes with Thufir and Baron and possibly Fade. If not, they're just scenes that they edited up without him. Like maybe he was off to the side and doing dialogue that they just cut him out. Mm-hmm. But he would have. There has to be another cut with him in the movie extensively.
That would make sense because I think Baron should have a little more scenes than what he ended up with in the film. And so it would make sense that he would have scenes with his Mentat, at least 2 scenes.
No, I mean, I was thinking about that personally. I was thinking about that when I was watching it the first time, but then Fade takes over the movie. And I think that's the strength. You need the villain to become Fade versus Baron for me.
Yeah, because he's the end. He's the more visceral, immediate antagonist to Paul, whereas Baron is the emperor, if you could say, like in Star Wars.
Kind of,
it's like Vader and Emperor.
Palpatine.
Yeah, Palpatine.
Well, he wants to be emperor.
Yeah.
He's not emperor.
I know, but I'm saying in relationship standard, it's like he's Palpatine to Vader.
He's the schemer. He's scheming.
He's scheming.
He's got a plan. Do I look like a guy with a plan? dog chasing cars. I never would know what to do if I caught one.
But did you see Denis showed up at the Oscars lunch because he's nominated for Best Picture, obviously, as a producer. But all the comments were crazy. Everyone was like, snubbed! How dare you! It was great. He's taking it in stride, obviously.
I mean, it's a huge honor to just make a movie for Warner Brothers, but also to be nominated for Best Picture. That's a massive honor, and I'm sure he's been dealing with it his whole career. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, I think he just seems like a humble guy. He's very grateful to be doing what he's doing. He's obviously one of the best alive and will go down in history as one of the best ever at the end of his career. But at the end of the day, nothing you can do but show up and smile and be happy and grateful that your movie's nominated. And it's so loved and so recognized, and it's nominated for 5 awards. So.
He revealed why he chose to do Dune 3 immediately. It's because he said he was so moved by how much love it got from cinephiles around the world.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, I kind of owe it to them to just finish it.
He's like, I listened to the podcast, Raiders of the Lost podcast, and what an episode. They were so amazing. They spoke very highly of me and my talents in my team. And after listening to James and Anthony, I decided I must make Dune 3 as soon as possible. I will go back to Arrakis, to the desert.
I made this film for 2 people, James and Anthony. Just those 2. I'm just really glad that we were, since the beginning of this podcast, riding Dune. Like, we were riding that Dune wave from the start.
Before the first movie came out.
Yeah. And then, I think...
We just knew. I mean, math's easy sometimes. 2 + 2 is 4, you know? And then you take Denis Villeneuve and Dune, you know, it's going to be good. It's an easy problem to solve. Yeah. There's no calculations really required. You know it's going to be great. So that was an easy wave to start.
After he did Blade Runner, I mean, he said, did you see what he said about Blade Runner 2049? He said sometimes he wakes up in the middle of the night and he can't believe he made that movie.
Yeah.
He's like, I can't believe I fucking did a sequel to Blade Runner.
In a bad way.
Yeah, he was like, that was crazy of me.
I think I remember him saying, like, I can't believe I had the audacity to do that.
Like the balls to do that.
Like, I thought I could make that movie. And he did an incredible job.
He made the hell out of that movie.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
But I don't blame him for thinking that, because Blade Runner is so remarkable. And Ridley, what he did with that film is just, it would change cinema forever, just like a lot of his movies did.
I was actually watching this great video essay. I can't remember the YouTube channel, but they were breaking down film scans, because 4K film scans restorations are coming out regularly now, and you just got the Kill Bill 4K UHD. And,
yeah, I did.
And with these, as well as the 7 one that just came out, directors are heavily involved in the restoration, the colorization of these new versions of the films, because their goal is to make the new 4K restoration look as close to the film release in theaters as possible. And it's this really incredible breakdown, and I learned so much about film scanning and how back in the day, because everything was projected on film and different companies were used to make scans of films to make basically all the reels to go to distribute around the world, there was inconsistency with colors and with contrast, depending on who did the film scanning. And sometimes prints were like copies of a copy of a copy of a copy. And sometimes...
So it's just degrading the quality, the coloring a little bit?
Plus
every film reel is different.
Yeah. Well, time degrades the quality, but it doesn't degrade the quality, but they would change the look of it. And so there would be versions of a film in one city that could be different from like what someone in a different city saw from the projection and from the digital scans. And then also with re-releases, and then with the VHS release, then the DVD release, then the Blu-ray release, and then the 4K UHD release, there's very rare originals left in high quality. And so for these new 4K UHDs, filmmakers are trying their best to make it as close to the original as possible. And a lot of fans aren't happy with how they end up turning out. The fans went after...
Because it's different, yeah. I think I saw what you're talking about.
Fans went after Terminator 2's 4K restoration, and they went after Cameron. And fans went after 7. David Fincher just worked on it. for the new release that just came out.
Because of the shadows.
It's the shadows and also the coloring's a little bit different.
They brought the shadows up, so it's a little less contrasty.
So with Fincher, he said he basically was like, I think, trying to just make it look like how he wanted it to look. Because I think like a lot of the fans who were angry didn't realize, kind of limited in the 90s with what you could do with coloring. You could do color timing, you could vary film stocks, you could do something like silver bypasses, things like that, but you didn't have the flexibility of digital color correction that you have now where you can basically do fucking anything. And so it makes sense for like a filmmaker to be like, I want to make it what I always had in my head, but I couldn't quite get. He's not doing George Lucas and putting new CGI elements and animals in the background. He's adjusting contrast and coloring. So I get that. But it was so fascinating to see how so for The Matrix, I don't know if it's a Mandela effect, but a lot of people claim that when they saw The Matrix, it wasn't green. Now, and then they created
I can't remember. That was so long ago.
It's created this huge debate because we all know The Matrix has this really great green tone with coloring of it inside of the sequences of The Matrix, and even still has a greenness to the present day, although that's definitely way more blue. But from Bill Pope, the cinematographer, he did an interview and he said they always intended for the green aesthetic, and that's like in print in an interview of his years ago. But a lot of fans are like, it was never green when it came out. They made it green on the release, and they changed it, and it was never like that when I saw it in theaters. Now, something that could explain that is digital film scans and reprints for release. It's possible that other companies that made the new scans or other scans during the release of the film, they maybe corrected the green and brought it back to more natural colors. So that could explain why there are people who claim and believe that they saw The Matrix and it was never green. It was more natural colors, even in the Matrix sequences. And so that could explain maybe the people who did those scans of those film prints color corrected it to be less green. And so that's a possibility. And then it created a huge debate the last 20 years with fans. And when I say fans, I mean people who are into this stuff, about was it green, was it not green. That could explain why some people believe when they first saw The Matrix, it wasn't super green, but now whenever you watch it, it is green.
That makes me think about how different filmmaking is as an art form compared to so many other arts. So let's say you're a photographer, or actually not a photographer. Let's say you're a musician. Let's say you're a painter. Let's say you're an architect. You build your masterpiece, you make your work, you paint your portrait, your picture. You don't go back and retouch up your prints usually, especially in the past. It's just hanging in a museum. It is what it is. You've achieved your masterpiece. I don't really hear about people going back and touching up paintings. Mm-hmm. But cinema and film, I don't really have a problem with Fincher going back and changing things. And I love the contrast and the high dark shadows, the black points in Seven. It's always been one of my favorite parts in the aesthetics of the film. It's a very dark movie. You only see the sun in the finale scene. That's the only time you ever see sunlight, is that last 15 minutes of the movie. When they literally drive out of the police station, the sun's pouring into the parking lot downstairs. That's the first time you really see sunlight for real. And what Fincher did was he brought up the shadows, so it's easier to see things in the darkness. It's still very high contrast. It's still a very dark movie. But he also even went into meticulous detail, like, for example, on a close-up of Somerset's glasses, they cleaned up the dust particles on the glasses. Not completely, but they got rid of a lot of the dust. So because I think as a filmmaker, and now that I've directed a movie and now that you've directed movies, I feel like you'll never be done with your movie. If you could go back, you would 100% fix things. I'm sure Christopher Nolan would feel the same way. I'm sure Denis Villeneuve would feel the same way, especially with 2049. But I'm sure with Dune Part 2, I think every filmmaker, that's part of the process of making movies, is you get it as far as you can to being done in time for its release. You only have so much time to work with. If you could, you go back and do a million things differently. If you could go back after release and be like, oh, it'd be cool. We have the technology to go back and fix something that's always been bugging me as the director of this movie. I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think George went a little too far as a fan of the Star Wars movies, but it's his fucking movie. He can do whatever the hell he wants. He can put some CGI freaking animals in there, whatever, dude. I don't care. But it's his movie. It's Fincher's movie. He can go. People, if we're at the point where people are complaining about dust particles getting removed from glasses, and slight contrast being brought up to see things better, a little bit better. But it's that guy's vision. It's that girl's vision. Fincher, that's what he wanted to do. He's a very meticulous guy, and I can only imagine that once the technology became available to really do this effectively and make it, this is the final version of my movie for physical media, I would do the same freaking thing. I would definitely be like, oh, there's always things about that project 25 years ago that I've wanted to touch up or fix a little bit. I want to go back, and if we can, that'd be cool. Let's get it to a better place than when I release it, because I don't think you're ever done with your movie.
And also picture this. Imagine this. You made your film in the 90s, and then for 20 years, people have been watching from home media a version of your movie that isn't correct.
Exactly.
It's not the way it was supposed to be, because VHS and DVD, way lower quality. And that isn't just resolution. We're talking about coloring. We're talking about sound, fidelity, dynamic range. And then Blu-ray, a little bit better, but it's still in HD. High definition is 1928, 1280. So not that much better. But when you get 4K, plus the technology, you can finally make it look, you can finally give viewers the home experience as close to what the theater experience was. So I think that's really big. Speaking of Star Wars, this crazy thing I saw, so in Phantom Menace, the pod racing sequence, so the one on Tatooine, and there's the huge stadium with all the people and stuff.
No, I remember playing the game, bro.
That's great game. So that set was a miniature, right? All the stands, and then like the starting point where they started. And then there's some like rock formations and stuff, but it's like huge stands with it's like tens of thousands of people in the crowd, right? That's all the people in the crowd. It wasn't CGI. They were actually painted Q-tips.
What?
So the team painted, I think 200,000 Q-tips, different colors, and just put them in the stands. So that's what's in the stands in the Phantom Menace pod racing sequence is actually just Q-tips.
Hold on, I gotta pull this up.
And then there's a couple of like miniature models of like actual characters, not in the stands though, but like walking on platforms. And they're just, but the rest of the crowd, the entirety of the crowd is all just Q-tips of different colors.
Holy crap. Yeah, but the shot's so far away you wouldn't be able to tell.
Yeah, exactly. Like they pan it and they hold it for a while, but it's so far away you can't tell that it's not.
Bro, that's insane.
It's all just Q-tips.
You just blew my mind. That's a great miniature.
Oh yeah, it's awesome miniature. Oh, I wish they did more of them.
Holy crap, I'm just blown away. That shocked me. Speaking of high fidelity sound, so Sonos, it's a home theater speaker soundbar company. They just sent us a soundbar, the Arc Ultra. This thing's bigger than my car. It's amazing. It sounds so freaking good. I can't thank Sonos enough. They hit us up like 2 weeks ago. They're like, hey, you guys want a home theater soundbar? I'm like, okay.
Is this a scam?
Sometimes you think it is.
The emails sometimes are just like, it feels very, very, very fishy.
This one wasn't fishy. Okay. This one was very well worded, well written, the manager for the agency. But it was really nice to get that in because it is a really high quality speaker. But man, I watched Severance. I watched 2 episodes of Severance with it last night. Holy freaking hell. It sounds so good. We already have a soundbar or had one.
Yeah.
But it was okay.
James burned it after this new one.
Dude, the Sonos one takes it to a new level. It was so incredible. But to go back to Severance real quick, because it's just fresh in my mind. And I want to do a whole episode on season 2 once it's all out, if that's cool with you.
That is cool with me.
How many episodes in are you?
7, baby.
Do you have this also same feeling that it's the best looking TV show right now?
It absolutely is, because not only is it it's very well shot, and what separates it from I think any show that I've seen recently is that they are using visual camera language to help tell the story as much as the writing and acting, and they're doing things with the camera work, with the lenses, with framing that really visually illustrates what's happening in sequences in the story. So for example, how far are you?
3 epis.
Okay, I don't want to spoil stuff.
Yeah, don't spoil
I can't spoil anything. But they are doing things with the cameras, with how they frame actors, with how they block the scenes, that nobody else I've seen in TV is doing. And it's just they're just doing great filmmaking.
Because I feel like so many shows, there's a lot of bad shows out there. A lot of medium tier shows. A couple of great shows, I would say. Mm-hmm. And I think so many of the lower tier, medium tier shows, they all just look so similar. They're so safe. The camera angles are blueprints of everything that's been happening for decades now. And they're not risky. There's nothing really exciting about the aesthetic of the film, of the show. And a lot of the framing, they're gearing it towards content creation. They're center framing a lot of stuff, which most people might not pick up on, but I pick up on that. It's just, they're preparing to make this into content. You know what I mean? They're doing it for Instagram Reels or TikTok videos, YouTube Shorts, because they know their stuff's going to get mixed. Not every shot's like that, but a lot of the footage you see from a lot of, average shows today are like that. But Severance, they're so risky. It's so fascinating. Every single shot of the show looks so unique. And then putting an actor so far away on like the right side of the frame in a massive parking lot. It felt like watching Fargo the other night when I was watching the episode.
I know what shot you're talking of, yeah.
And then the building, there's this incredible tracking shot of the exterior of the Lumon headquarters building, which is all glass windows. They definitely built this thing. It looks incredible, the shots they got. And we have the camera like across the building, like at least 50 feet away from the building. I don't know what kind of structure
when Helly's
it's on.
Walking, yeah.
And we have a character in the outside driving a motorcycle picked up on the right. And then we have Ellie as her Audi walking in the building, tracking with her for like 100 feet, glass windows, walking into a conference room with another character in there. 3 characters, one driving away in a motorcycle, one in a conference room, one walking down a hallway, all in the same shot. It's so interesting. It's so unique. And there's nothing on TV like the aesthetic of Severance. Plus, they're using camera technology in really interesting ways. There's so many productions that are using the highest quality gear, but they're not doing anything interesting with it. But Severance, even just the focus pulls of the tracking focus pulls of the dolly zooms of, when you're entering the elevator and exiting, when they do the dolly tracking focus pull, and they're warping the character's face. It's so smooth and so drastic that it's impossibly clean because it's robotic. But man, no one's doing anything like that. It looks so good.
That's because every shot has intention behind it, and every shot is like they're like, what's the meaning of this scene? What is this moment? And let's photograph it depending upon what the intentionality is. And there's so much on TV and in movies that is just coverage and the basic setups, and that's it. There's nothing special. So, and it gets way better looking. Dude, episode 7 was great. Episode 6 was great. The filmmaking is so dynamic and so interesting. I watched Wolves last night.
Okay, the Apple TV movie. How was it?
It was fine.
Yeah.
It was just like, again, to contrast it with Severance, nothing interesting about the filmmaking. It was just like the most basic coverage, and it was honestly kind of boring. It was fine. Seeing George and Brad on screen together is great, but like, it wasn't funny. None of the jokes worked, and their bickering, I thought I was gonna love them bickering the whole time, but it just ended up like not being entertaining, and it was just a strange film, a very strange film. And I think that Watts is a pretty good director, but also I think that I like Cop Car. That was his first film, and then he got Spider-Man. But also I think that he's someone who's like really benefited from the Marvel machine. And then when you do your own, you've seen it multiple times with franchise directors, when they do something outside of that, they struggle. And so in terms of the directing of the film, I thought it was so flat and stale and boring and just not exciting. And it was just like, I was like, this movie kind of feels pointless in a lot of ways. And in a lot of ways, none of the emotional beats worked. It felt very forced. And I was shocked that none of the comedy worked. It really didn't. And it was something that, it's been getting such mixed reviews online. And I was like, really? It's Brad and George. I mean, it can't be like that mediocre. And honestly, it was just like, I was really just honestly feeling the runtime. And it's an hour and 45-minute movie.
Damn.
And I was feeling it. Halfway through, I was like, all right. And then like the setup, these two fixers are kind of forced to work together.
Yeah.
And then like this new conflict comes in an hour into it that was just like out of nowhere, I guess, to create more conflict, but has nothing to do with like the first hour. So I was just like, so what is this movie? Like, I don't know. It was just it was honestly because I watched The Real Pain, which was really good by Eisenberg, and I watched Severance episode 7, which was fantastic, and then I watched Wolves, and I was like, man, you could see the difference in the filmmaking was so stark.
One of these things is not like the other.
Yes.
Interesting. All right, how about let's run to our intermission?
Yes.
And then we'll come back and continue our movie talk.
Movie chat.
Yeah.
Movie talk.
And before we continue, the best way to support Raiders of the Lost Podcast is to become a patron today at patreon.com/Raiders of the Lost Podcast. Get awesome perks like access to weekly bonus episodes, access to the ad-free, commercial-free version of every single episode of the show, and access to our Discord. Plus, every tier has specific perks of awesomeness. So go ahead and check out which perk is best for you. Sign up today at patreon.com/Raiders of the Lost Podcast. Another great way to support the show, leave those 5-star ratings and reviews on Spotify and Apple. They are integral to our show's growth, reputability, and help us chart on podcast platforms. Please, please, please leave those written reviews. I'm going to read an Apple one out in just a minute. And subscribe on YouTube as well. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok. Another final great way to support the show is sharing us. Engagement is super high for us to get bigger and bigger every single year. And sharing us with your family and friends, whether it's Instagram videos, TikTok videos, YouTube, or just episodes to those you love who love movies is the best way for us to grow organically. So please share us with everyone you know.
This episode, of course, is sponsored by our friends at movieposters.com, the number one place to get your posters online today. Be sure to use our promo code Raiders10 at movieposters.com. That'll get you 10% off your order right now. They have a huge selection of pretty much every movie and TV show imaginable in their amazing poster library, as well as all sorts of sizes, framing, and even backlighting, like that amazing one-click poster behind James. Backlit posters, double-sided prints. These are like movie theater quality. They also have all sorts of collectible items for all of you film collectors out there. They have cool lobby cards as well as original movie poster prints of many of your favorite films, classics, and presents. So it's a great place to get your collection going. Again, use movieposters.com. They are the best source for all of your poster needs. And use our promo code Raiders10 at movieposters.com to get 10% off your order today. I got to say, that was a great ad read by you, James, because last week you did a 3-minute ad read. I had to trim it down to 1.5 minutes.
Well, sometimes
you ranted, man.
Sometimes I ramble.
You were like,
I ramble on.
It's like, oh my God, support us on Patreon. Blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh man.
I just want people to know how to support us, man. I think they deserve to know. But I honestly forgot to do my intermission. So how about
I know. We're doing a very casual one, so I didn't prepare one.
Yeah, me too.
Now, here's the thing. You're not feeling great about the Cinephile trivia.
I am not.
Do you not want to do it today? Or not? Do you want to just stop doing Cinephile?
There's a chance I'm going to light it on fire.
How about this? We'll play one more time. If you win, we keep doing it. If you lose, we never have to play Cinephile again.
Oh, I'm going to lose on purpose then.
No. But what if you win, you're like, oh, I can do this. It'll give you confidence.
No, you should have done it the other way.
No. If I win, we stop.
Okay, I'm pulling a card.
Yeah.
Cinephile, the card game where...
But don't try to lose on purpose.
I don't like to lose. That's the thing. That's why I don't like playing Cinephile. Cinephile, we pull a card. It's got an actor or actress on it, and we have to go back and forth naming movies from the filmography. Anthony decimates me every time because I end up running out. Let's do Reese Witherspoon. You can't say election.
Can't say election. All right.
Sweet Home Alabama. Reese. I can't say election. What other movies is she in? Oh, Legally Blonde.
Legally Blonde 2.
God damn it. See, I'm already fucked. I know Reese Witherspoon's filmography. Come on. She's in a bunch of rom-coms. Like, for example, the really great rom-com called How to Train Your Dragon. I'm blanking already. Reese. She's... I give up.
Johnny Cash, Walk the Line.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, we'll never play again. It's over.
That was a bad round. That was bad. That was embarrassing. I'm sorry. That was my worst round ever. That's terrible. See,
sorry,
I can't do this anymore,
okay,
man. It's eating me from the inside. I wake up sweating in the middle of the night thinking about losing to Cinephile.
James dreads recording episodes now because of Cinephile.
It's terrible.
That's the last time.
I despise it.
We never have to play again.
Okay, cool.
Never play again.
Sweet.
It's over, man. Your tormenting is over.
It's a great game. It's just Anthony's too good.
Let's get to some unsubscribes. Thank you, man. All right, first up, we got...
You've always been a human IMDb.
Yeah, that was my hobby as a teenager.
Since we were like 17.
Yeah. All right, next up. Unsubscribe section. We have on our Robert Pattinson interview, with Bong Joon-ho. Anton, if you guys don't give a detailed description on how the Batman smells, then I will have to unsubscribe. Seriously, though, congrats again, boys.
Thank you, pal.
Did he smell nice?
No comment.
Letterbox 100 from Kraz78. When I was a kid, I never did something so foolish as imagining one of my toys could talk to me. Since I can't relate to you guys, I have to unsubscribe. I think we were talking about Toy Story.
Probably.
All right. David John. Oh my God, you guys sat down for a chat with Pattinson. You fellas make me jealous. I hate you both. LOL. Did you mention anything about the Batman Part 2? Either way, my jealousy may make me unsubscribe. No Batman talk allowed.
No Batman talk.
Next up, Jake T. Steve. Listening to an old favorite episode, and I noticed that in Mad Max Fury Road, at the 1:15:39 second mark, you pronounce GIF. You pronounce GIF like GIF. It's graphics. G graphics. G. Unsubscribed.
We're in a debate about that still, right?
Yes. Well, the creator calls it a GIF.
Yeah, but still, I still call it a GIF.
Everyone calls it a GIF. I call it a GIF.
No, not everyone calls it. It's like a big debate. It's like 50-50.
It's like
It's like that dress, the gold dress, the blue dress.
I saw a blue dress.
Yeah, it's blue. It's 100% blue dress.
No, I saw. Wait, I saw what was different from you.
You saw a yellow gold dress?
Yes, I saw white and gold.
You're out of your mind. Are you kidding me?
Like it's like Yasuf. That sound. What is that sound one? There's a sound one.
What?
Hold on.
Pull up the dress. See what colors you see.
What's it called? Dress
Just
debate.
call it the blue dress. Dress debate. Whatever. It'll come up.
Blue
real quick.
dress debate. Yeah, I see a gold dress.
Point that. Show me your screen. Well, that's golden yet and white.
Gold and white.
Yeah.
Where? Oh, okay, hold on. Let me. That might not be the real one. Hold on. White, gold.
White, gold, blue dress.
I always thought it was. So is this blue and black or white and gold? Is this it?
That's white and gold.
Yeah, it's white and gold.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's not working anymore.
Yeah.
There's a sound one too, though.
Yeah. Okay, I remember the sound one. Yeah.
Okay.
Continue with the
Eric. You met Pattinson and Bong Joon-ho. I'm so jealous. I'm gonna have to unsubscribe.
Again, the comments were so nice everywhere. Everyone was really nice.
Jeter. The Trial of the Chicago 6, James. Actually, it's the 7. Unsubscribe.
Oh, my bad.
You were wrong.
I knew it was a number that started with S.
Also, Jeter, the punching machine. Actually, it's the smashing machine. Unsubscribe.
Is that Caleb?
Yeah. Kate and Spencer. I think James and Anthony are going to unsubscribe from The Last Ronin when they find out it's actually not Raph.
So you lied to me twice.
I didn't lie to you. I was wrong. Okay, you got to understand. There's a difference between being wrong and intentionally telling you a wrong fact.
Sorry, you weren't lying.
I was not lying. I was mistaken.
So who told you about Raph?
I saw the photos and it's a red bandana.
Oh, who is it?
So
then?
I assumed it was Raph.
Is it just an old turtle?
Let me see. TMNT Last Ronin. I thought it was Raph. It's the yeah, he's got a red thing on.
Who is Last Ronin turtle?
Michelangelo.
Oh,
okay, so it's Mikey.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, the images don't look like Mikey.
It doesn't.
I mean, I thought this was Raph.
He's got every weapon. That's the thing.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
He's got all the weapons, I think.
Ah. Okay, so okay, look at this is where I saw. How is that not Raph?
It looks like Raph.
Yeah. So I googled that. That's the cover. Red bandana. I'm like, okay, it's got to be Raph. And also, he's got the size in his hands.
He's got every weapon.
Yeah. Sounds pretty cool.
Sounds badass. Moving on.
So I didn't lie to you.
You're right.
Jesus. All right. Travis, greetings from Guyana, South America, James and Anthony. Been listening to you guys for the past few months. I love your episodes, more so the way you guys break it all down. Currently listening to Worst Oscar Snubs and Controversies episodes. And I can say I agree with everything you said. Keep up the great work. P.S. Still can't tell you apart. So soon I might have to unsubscribe. JK.
Thanks, pal.
Zachary, Pent Ultimate Awards Show. We're making up words now. Unsubscribed. If you mean penultimate, that means second to last. Staying subscribed.
I was going to correct you, but I was like, ah.
Did I say Pent Ultimate?
Yeah, you definitely did.
Damn. Damian Burke, you talked about Spike Lee snubs and didn't mention Al Pacino in Scent of a Woman winning over Denzel. I need more diversity in your show. Hashtag unsubscribe. All right, that's it.
All right, I have an incredible 5-star written review here. It's from Sammy J. Scott. Warning! Explanation point. 5 stars. Recommend. Nice. This is by far the best podcast I've ever listened to. Incredible content. Everything from movie news to reviews on new releases and, of course, deep dives on any and every movie you can think of. Growing up, I loved movies and going to a theater. However, as I've gotten older and streaming services have grown with me, I've found myself rewatching the same movies and TV shows over and over. Since I started listening to this podcast a few months back, I've had my love of movies, particularly theater experiences, reignited.
Nice.
My warning to you is to prepare for the same. Since discovering Raiders of Lost podcast, I've spent over $350 on movie tickets alone, not including popcorn and drinks. So where should I send the bill? I want my $2 from the 1985 classic, Better Off Dead. I don't think I've heard them mention this movie, though. Probably since it stars John Cusack. If you know, you know. I will never unsubscribe. Keep it up. Wow, Sammy. What an awesome review. Man, I know going to the movies does cost a good amount of money, but it's worth it. I know you know it's worth it. I recommend getting AMC Stubs list. If you have an AMC near you, so much cheaper. You save a ton of money.
Oh, yeah,
and you get all kinds of good perks, too. Like, I get free stuff all the time. But Sammy J. Scott, what a review. Thank you so much. I'm so glad to hear that your love for theater experiences is back. And I think that's a great way to segue into the rest of the episode, because we were talking about this the other day, how, you know, we'll probably never get to the box office numbers that we were pre-COVID. Of course, it was also inflated with Endgame and Infinity War. Captain Marvel pulled $1 billion. All kinds of movies there. Marvel was on fire. I don't even think Marvel will ever get back to that again. But the box office numbers were so absurd. But, you know, with streaming being so popular and convenient, just like Anthony was talking about when we were chatting about this, like Uber's so convenient, so restaurants are losing money. Postmates is so convenient, which they're the same
Streamers
thing now.
are the Postmates of the film world.
So people are just more likely to watch the movie at home or wait till it comes out streaming, especially because the release dates for theaters basically just leads right into the streaming release, in which has pros and cons, and you understand why some movies, smaller movies, are maintaining a quick release date on streaming after theaters, because they have to keep their title in the zeitgeist for as long as possible, because if it comes out in 6 to 8 months on streaming, then it's just going to get lost in the shuffle of all of the new content coming out every goddamn freaking week, because so many movies and TV shows come out so often and so regularly. You understand that they want a biggest bang for your buck. Statistically, they're probably seeing the data saying release it on streaming as quickly as possible. But then you have movies like Top Gun Maverick that, you know, he's like, no, we're not releasing this for 8 months. Comes out streaming, destroys streaming numbers just like it did theater numbers. And so it's sort of this, we're in new territory.
Did it really come out 8 months after? It's
quite a while.
Yeah.
I don't know about 8 months exactly, but it was a while. It was a whole marketing campaign for when it came out digital. And it's just, we're in new territory now, and we're all kind of exploring this at the same time. Marketing's changed so much. Movies have changed so much. Movie viewing experiences have changed so much. Accessibility is off the charts. You can watch anything, anytime, anywhere you want. It's so crazy, the access we have to movies and TV. It makes you miss the old days where you had to wait. You had to wait for a movie to come out, which is why I like how Severance is coming out every week versus a lot of TV shows. They dump everything all at once, which you understand why from both perspectives. It seems like there's no right or wrong way right now.
And also it's changing the way movies are made too. Sean Baker had a great speech at the Indie Spirit Awards. I don't know if you saw it.
Oh yeah, the Indie one.
Yeah, and he was talking about how, you know, the erasure of DVD sales has prevented studios from being as risky as they used to be with the projects they would greenlight. And it's like, again, I think everyone talks so negatively about studios, but like, I mean, in a lot of ways, it's like they're trying to keep the lights on. Nobody gets into the film business who doesn't love movies. You know what I mean? And when you get to that position in management and people rely on you for their jobs and you have to keep the company afloat, yes, you have to make more mainstream decisions. But the lack of DVD sales, I mean, they still make Blu-rays and 4Ks, obviously, but the number of people who buy them is exponentially lower. It's shrunk so low.
It's still dwindling.
Yeah, so it's like then the studios might be making more money off merch than DVD sales. Honestly, if you look at A24, and so studios used to be able to greenlight riskier projects for low to mid-range budgets, $5-10 million, maybe even a little higher, for a movie that like they were like, okay, we're not confident this will destroy the box office, but we're confident like we could recuperate our costs with DVD sales and blockbuster rental sales
and pull a $3 million profit.
Yeah, and so they would greenlight these. That's why there were so many like. I see people debate about like movie years, and I've seen. I mean, you'll see online like people will be like, "What are you talking about? 2023 was awesome. These 5 movies came out." It's like, yeah, 5 great movies came out. Compared to like fucking the 2000s or the 90s, where it would be like 20 great movies would come out, and you know what, 50 really good movies would come out. Now it's like we're looking at like at the most 20 really good movies a year, if that, maybe 10 really good movies a year.
In America, like English speaking,
English language films. So studios were able to greenlight way more interesting projects because they could rely on DVD sales, VHS sales, and rental sales to recuperate their money if they didn't make a big amount of a splash at the box office run. And so that's limited. That's why you see so few great, interesting independent films being made, and not even independent films, but interesting studio films being made. Sorry, where the studios would have like they still have them, like Fox Searchlight is just Searchlight now, Sony Picture Classics, Buena Vista for Disney. So these really great tiny companies in the large company, in the large conglomerate. This is like this is the small feature.
Well, 20th Century is not a tiny company.
Well, no, yeah, not anymore. But
they were always massive.
But they had an indie, like they had a small film production.
Sure, but they were making big movies still.
No. Fox Searchlight was like the small version of Fox.
Oh, I thought you said 20th Century Fox.
No, I said before. So now it's just now.
No, I know it's 20th Century, but I thought you meant 20th Century small.
No, but before there was Fox Pictures. And then there's 20th Century. So it's like the Sony Picture Classics of Sony.
So decades ago.
Yeah, when we were teenagers. And so companies had smaller film divisions to make those low to mid-range budget films. So what we know now today as an indie film, it's made independently by producers not in a studio, and then they sell it to a studio for distribution. So like Neon picked up Anora for distribution. Neon did not make Anora. Anora was independently made, played at Cannes, and then Neon picked it up for distribution.
One can.
Yeah, one can. And same thing with the Substance. Substance was made independently without a distributor. Mubi picked it up, and Mubi distributed it and made a fuck ton of money. And it was huge for Mubi. Now Mubi, it's like putting them into the A24 Neon realm of production companies. So the big studios, they did used to make really cool films with their smaller divisions. And if they didn't own a smaller division, they were partnered with the smaller division. You know what I mean? Like Miramax or what have you. But
yeah, Miramax was Weinstein.
Yeah, they made a lot of really interesting smaller budget films. But nowadays, studios, they'll buy a small budget film. They'll distribute one if they think it's good. Like Anora's. Anora's a great example. Like Neon bought it, distributed it. But I mean, Sony Picture Classics, they do that. Every Buena Vista still does it. But they're not as often funding and producing those small range features that now we all call indies, but the studios used to make those smaller films. And they weren't independent films. They were just smaller films made in their own smaller divisions. But the lack of DVD sales prevents them from greenlighting these films anymore. So now most of the time, all they're really willing to risk is distribution licensing. So like, they're not going to put up $10 million for a movie that they aren't sure about anymore. But, you know, movie gets made independently. They see it at a festival. Oh, let's buy the distribution rights for this film. So they help the movie get seen, but they're not as often funding these movies anymore.
I think it's just tunnel vision about money. And so many studios, not that money isn't always in the business and they're not always trying to make money. And it's, you got to pay the bills, and you're trying to make great films to make great money as well. I think they were more. I think most studios used to be more inclined to just let's focus on making great movies. Now it's just how much money can we make? How do we make $1 billion off this movies? And I'm afraid that the 2000 teens broke the economy of movies and studios, where they're just putting so much money into movies, $340 million films that are not pulling in their weight. Sometimes they do, but they're not making. They need to make. If you need to make $1.5 billion to turn green, that's a lot of money. Avatar, that's their situation, but Avatar is so unique. They're pushing boundaries of technology, and they're so artistic.
They do it. They make it.
That's incredible. Yeah, they pull their money back. So those are worth doing. But I was watching this great interview the other day with Jason Alexander from 20, 30 years ago maybe, and he's talking about Seinfeld, obviously, George Costanza. And he's talking about how he thinks that Seinfeld broke the economics of television because their show is so popular. And this is the 90s, where the studio's trying to get them back. I can't remember what season they were coming back for. But the talents, they were recognizing that, how much is the studio making off this show? A ton of money. The studio's making a ton of money off just episodes, but syndication, the ad revenue is off the charts. It's the most successful show ever. Still is. And the talent, Larry David, Jason Alexander, everyone else, the main four, as well as the couple writers, they're like, all right, we deserve a cut of this. And now that we know how much you're making off of our episodes that we're the stars of, we're the writers of, we want $1 million per episode each. And he says that it was ridiculous for them to give them that. They shouldn't have given them what they wanted out of $1 million each per episode, but they caved in, gave them $1 million per episode, and then fuck TV forever.
Yeah.
We're now stars who are on, this is Seinfeld. They deserved it. They're the best show, the biggest show in the world. #1 ratings for years.
Around the world. Yeah.
Worth it. But then you have shows that have a big star. They're charting 28. And the stars getting like $700,000 per episode. In the 90s, it just doesn't make any sense because that's what they're doing. It's sort of like when athletes set the bar every year. Every year, someone's getting a ridiculous salary, and so now that's like sort of the minimum's changing for everyone. But they broke the economics of television, according to Jason Alexander, with Seinfeld in the 90s. Can you imagine making $1 million per episode in the 90s?
Crazy.
In the 90s!
Crazy.
That's absurd. And now you look at studios in the 2000 teens, Marvel, all of our movies are making $1 billion fucking dollars. Guardians of the Galaxy, $1 billion. Captain Marvel, $1 billion. Infinity War, Endgame, $2 billion. Everything's making money. We're the freaking Smaug sitting on a treasure trove in the 2018, 2019, the biggest box office years ever. And then COVID, obviously everything changes. They go so hard in the streaming, but still, I think now they're so desperate to make their money back from everything that the studios have lost during streaming, of putting billions of dollars into the streaming platforms, into content, TV shows, movies that people aren't watching. No conversion. You're not making you're not getting a return on investment really on a lot of projects that you put forward, because your income's now not commercials anymore. It's subscriptions, but now commercials are feeding back into it. And maybe I feel like they're all trying to recuperate losses that they received the last several years, as well as let's try to make $1 billion again. Let's try to make $1 billion again, versus like what you're talking about, where they used to fund $20 million movies, $10 million movies that would sometimes be a huge hit. But sometimes on average, pulls in $10 million profit. That adds up. that keeps the lights on for all your buildings for the whole year. And they're not taking those chances anymore. And sad that they're just buying the projects versus funding them themselves. And now they're just funding most projects for their streamers that a lot of people aren't going to watch. And it's hurting the theater experience for sure. But I sort of feel like movie theaters are going to have to, not right now, but over time, adapt and change. Maybe make them more prestige, bigger experiences, bigger screens, bigger theaters, incredible sounds. Make the experience even more immersive, so that audiences are enticed to always go to the theater. It's like, I saw the movie, but I saw it at the theater. The experience was awesome. So maybe there'll be fewer theaters, but the experience will be bigger and better than ever.
There's also the fact that, COVID fucked everything up, obviously. And then, like you said, the commitment to streaming. But also, I think that from 2020 to 2024, there was an obvious degradation in storytelling quality. and we all know this. I mean, a lot of studios are backtracking now with what the tone of their films are. Less political tones, less ideological tones, less spoon-feeding audiences, less lecturing in movies, because it didn't work. Movies, Nolan just came out. He said politics should not be in movies. Nolan said that. Movies are, at the end of the day, you're entertaining people. You're giving them an experience, and this is not a moment to poke fingers at people, point at them, and tell them that they're wrong, or tell them you have to do this, you have to think like this. That's not what people want in movies. And I think that some of the studios, they got a little blinded by culturally what was happening online, and it affected what they were putting in their narratives. And obviously audiences rejected it, because it wasn't just that people weren't watching shows, people were going to less movies, and the movies' qualities of narratives and stories went down. At the end of the day, if
you need to do better, Senator.
You need to do better. At the end of the day, if a movie is great, people will see it. If a movie's not, if you keep making mediocre movies, if you keep making pandering movies, if you keep making lecture type movies and ideological movies, we saw this the last 4 years. People reject it, and they stop going, and they stop seeing your brand, and they don't want to watch another movie where they're lectured. They don't want to watch another movie where it's highly politicized. People work tough jobs. They have kids. They have families. They're busy. Life can be tiring. They don't want to go to a movie and be told what to do. They want to go to a movie to chill out, escape for a little bit, have some fun, or watch something really interesting, depends on the taste of the person, and just enjoy the experience. But studios shot themselves in the foot by doubling down on these kinds of stories from 2020 to 2024, and it really shot them in the asses, and it hurt them in the pocketbook, and it really fucked things up. And now things are slowly going a little bit back to, let's just make great movies again. This is what people want. I mean, how many movies came out the last 4 years, and you see the trailers and you're like, why would this even get greenlit? And then the movie doesn't make any money because nobody wants to see that kind of movie. And it's just like, there's a time and a place for serious conversations about culture and society in the world. But you know what? People don't want to see that when they take their kids to see a movie. At the end of the day, it's an experience. They're just trying to lighten up, have a couple of hours to decompress and escape and enjoy a fun story, a fun narrative. Everybody loves going to the movies, but if you ruin the experience, if you fuck up the experience, people are not going to keep coming anymore.
And also, I wish I could have seen The Gorge in theaters.
Yeah, it would have been great in theaters.
I like The Gorge. Silly, fun action movie. I think I would have liked it more in a theater.
Mm-hmm.
I really would have. I think that would have been so fun in a theater, in a big screen. But I think the theaters, something's going to have to change at some point going forward. I think that they're going to adapt and go bigger. I think
that's the best way to do it.
I think theaters.
That's why IMAX is so important.
IMAX is really important. I think IMAX is the best way to see a movie, honestly, in my opinion. And it's always an incredible experience. I can't wait to see Mickey 17 there next week. We're going to go see it for the first time in the theater. We've only seen screeners of the movie. But I think that's why IMAX is doing so well. They've got so many theaters now. Because
China built over 1,000 in the last few years.
You can't replicate that experience anywhere. Even when you see a bad movie in IMAX, you're still like, oh, it's still cool to see.
Epic. Yeah,
it's still awesome. So I think that's the key for theaters surviving. Is I think chains will be going out of business over the next 10 years for sure. More of them, but I think even though there might be fewer theaters in 10 years, maybe like 1,000 less in North America, the theater experience, I think, will be better, because that's the only way to fight streaming, is to make your in-person experience better than at home, even though it already is. But you have to entice the people who aren't taking time out. And I understand a lot of people are busy.
Yeah.
Not everyone goes to the theater. Not everyone likes movies.
Yeah.
Some people don't even watch movies. Whatever. But there are a lot of people who watch film, and a lot of people watch movies and TV. How do you get the people who are comfortable sitting at home to, you have to go see this in a theater?
Yeah.
Like Top Gun Maverick, that was a euphoric, religious, out-of-body experience in a theater. Incredible. And I like how IMAX, they're always so fun with their marketing stuff. They often, whenever they're interviewing directors, actors, whatever, they always ask them, what movies from the past do you wish you could have seen in an IMAX theater?
Yeah, that's a great question.
What do you think for you?
2001.
2001: A Space Odyssey?
Yeah.
That would be a sensational experience in an IMAX theater. I think Jaws would kick ass.
Oh, yeah. Jaws
we saw that in IMAX, actually. We saw that a few years ago. That's right.
And we saw E.T.
We did an IMAX. They did an IMAX release. I think Predator would be really cool.
Predator would be awesome in IMAX. Oh, my God.
Blade Runner, I think, would be a movie that I would want to see in IMAX. Alien as well. Anything really big world building.
Honestly, Children of Men in IMAX.
that would be
insane.
Yeah, but that's great world building. I think that anything that has massive scope and world building would be really exciting to see in an IMAX theater from the past.
Lawrence of Arabia, The Great Escape. Yeah, these would be great.
Heat would be cool in the theater.
Saving Private Ryan.
Oh my dude, yes.
Saving Private Ryan in IMAX? Are you kidding me?
You'd feel like you're at war.
Oh my God.
That would be
that would be
insane
fucking
experience.
nuts.
Apocalypse Now would be
even
really cool.
Shawshank in IMAX.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I think IMAX is very special, and
it's an important brand, and it's growing so much because, like you're saying, it's important for the future of film for studios and theaters to work together with brands like IMAX, and Dolby's doing a great job too, partnered with AMC, to give audiences a visceral, incredible experience that makes them need to go to see it in a theater. Like, you have to see this in the theater because of the experience of the quality of seeing a giant screen, incredible quality, remarkable sound design, and just making it a memorable moment for them that week. It's important.
Yeah, I agree. Did you see Star Wars news?
No.
We'll talk more about it on
Oh,
movie
yeah.
news. But
I
yeah,
saw that,
Kathleen Kennedy is stepping down as head of Lucasfilm.
Mm-hmm.
It's theorized that Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni would take over as the creative directors now.
Okay.
Which is interesting. I think that, those change is always good, especially when your brand's at a sort of a speed bump. It's inevitable. She's had the reins for a while
crash
now.
into a wall.
That's certainly a way to put it.
I don't think it's a speed bump.
Certainly a way to put it. But, does that mean that things will change? We'll see. Because Star Wars, speaking of theater experiences, that's a movie I wish, if I had a time machine and if you had a movie time machine, you could take time machine to go see movies when they came out in theaters.
Yeah.
Holy fuck, can you imagine seeing Star Wars in the theater when it came out?
Yeah. Imagine seeing The Exorcist.
I think that if Star Wars can get back to where it was, obviously you'll never capture the originals, but if they can get back to really great quality films, which they've always been, but stories as well, and really bring the fan base back to adoration for the stories, it's an unbeatable IP.
Oh yeah, it's probably the most powerful IP there is in film and TV. But again, I really do believe less is more. It wasn't even just the high amount of releases on TV that they had, but it was just like, it seemed like every week there was a new announcement. There's like, how many shows did they announce that they never even made? Like
Half of them, yeah.
They just announced so many things, and it's just like, holy shit! It's like its own station of television. It's too much. But again, they get to listen to the fans, and I feel like they, some of the people behind some of the projects, like, they clearly went after the fans and like wanted to rile up the fans, and that's not a way to make stories.
Yeah,
that's not a way to make films or TV shows. Like, why?
You're treating it like Twitter posts.
Yeah, exactly. And so, why would you make a movie or a TV show to purposely upset people? It's bad business. Like, why would you do that? That makes no sense business wise. Like, oh, let's make this to piss off these people, and you know what? We know they're gonna get pissed off. When they get pissed off, we're gonna be upset about it.
It's like
it's weird.
It's like making a T-shirt brand, and then your T-shirts say, anyone who wears this shirt is a piece of shit, and then getting mad that no one's buying the shirt. I don't understand why no one wants to buy this shirt. You're all pieces of shit for not buying the shirt that says you're a piece of shit.
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
It's a weird mentality.
Yeah, business-wise. It's just like, and like, I think that there's an arrogance of the company that be like, we can do whatever we want, we can do this, and it won't be any problems.
Yeah, I think they overplayed their hand. A lot of studios have done that. They've had such big success, and that's what I'm saying with the 2000 teens breaking movie business when it comes to economics. They think they can make so much money off anything, that they can make anything, and then they'll just eat up anything we make and they'll watch it no matter what.
Yeah, which the Sony films, Craven, Madam Web,
those are interesting. Those movies, I think in 20 years people are going to look back and think they're meta. Like they did it on purpose, like The Room. I don't know.
No. I don't think people are going to be watching them.
I think people will watch them for fun.
I don't think people will be watching them.
Morbius is a movie that I would put on for fun.
I'll never put Morbius on again.
Just to watch Matt Smith dancing in the bathroom scene? Come on.
I love Matt Smith, but yeah, I'll never put that on.
It sucks because they could have been all really cool movies. Y'all could have been really cool.
I mean, I don't understand a lot of the screenplays that get greenlit nowadays, like movies like that, like the stories being greenlit. I don't even think like they care about the stories, but it's just more of like, oh, we'll just make this movie from this property.
Yeah, I think they just have money on the mind, which you understand your business, but at the same time, no one wants to make a bad movie, but it seems like a lot of people who are in control of decisions in some studios today don't care about that. They just care about the dollar. How much can we make?
Yeah, but then also, I mean, just take Madam Web for example, where Sydney Sweeney said it was a stepping stone film for her to get into Sony, and she got her last 2 movies made through Sony. Is that someone who really cared about the property they were making?
Sure, I mean,
and then Dakota Johnson said she's probably never going to see it.
Yeah, but that's like acting like actors that have never made movies for money before or made movies for careers. Gene Hackman just passed away. Unfortunately, he's 95 years old. Incredible career, one of the best to ever do it. I've read this interview of Ben Stiller talking about meeting Gene Hackman on a project, and he's like,
Royal Tenenbaums.
Royal Tenenbaums.
Hated it.
He's talking about how, Gene, I'm so thrilled to have worked on this project with you. And at the end of the production, he's like, I just want to let you know, like, I've been taking me a while to build up courage to come talk to you, to let you know how much your career means to me. And the Poseidon Adventure, I just want you to know that movie is what made me want to be a filmmaker. And I just want to thank you for that. And Gene Hackman goes to him, he's like, yeah, money job. So it's not new.
Yeah.
It's career stuff. Like you got to make money. You got to market yourself. I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. If Sydney Sweeney didn't believe in the movie, I mean, good for her. I think that's great because now she has control of her career. She can do whatever she wants now.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool. And to think that actors aren't thinking that way, they all are, except for Daniel Day-Lewis.
I was about to say.
They're all, you got to make your money. You got to market yourself. You're a young, hot star. You're one of the biggest names on the planet right now when it comes to movies. I think that's totally fine. But it's been happening forever. Gene Hackman did it with Poseidon Job.
Yeah.
Poseidon Adventure.
That was a good movie, though.
It's a good movie, but he's also, money job or whatever. He probably didn't like it at all.
He hated Wes Anderson.
Well, I'm not talking about Royal Tenenbaums, but yeah.
No, I know you're not. I know you're not talking about Tenenbaums. I'm just saying he hated Wes Anderson.
Yeah.
I'm just bouncing off of you. Like a conversation.
No, but I thought the way you phrased it was like we were talking. You insinuated
no.
that.
I'm just adding to it. He hated Wes Anderson and the way he worked.
Why?
He didn't like the way that Anderson worked.
Is there any specifics
the
of
process?
The process.
He didn't. Yeah. When Wes Anderson was young, he has such a unique filmmaking style. Khan said the same thing. They didn't really feel like he knew what he was doing, and because he films outside the box, and it was I mean, there's a reason why Wes is Wes. It's because he created a new language of filmmaking, and in the early days, it was hard for veterans to trust him and get used to him. Same thing would happen with PTA, with Bill, fucking what's his name in Boogie Nights. Oh my God,
Burt Reynolds.
Burt Reynolds in Boogie Nights, where it's like, in a way, this veteran actor who's been on 40 films, made films one way their entire lives, this new young hotshot filmmakers switching it up, it's like, what the hell's going on? And so Gene Hackman did not like Royal Tenenbaums, even though he got nominated for an Oscar. And then same thing, Burt Reynolds did not like the Boogie Nights filmmaking process, even though he got nominated for an Oscar. And he was fighting with PTA the whole time and arguing about scenes in the filmmaking.
It's interesting. I wonder if it's such a young guy running the show.
Social Network.
I think that's something to do with it because the same thing's been happening in a lot of industries lately, especially like right now. Young directors are making more movies than ever before. And like I said, it's not easier to make a movie, but the studio system's changed so much that it's not just a bunch of old guys making movies. Anyone can build up their opportunity to become a filmmaker. no matter what your age is. I mean, Finn Wolfhard just made a movie.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Dude, was he 21 years old, 20 years old? That's so cool. It looks funny, too. It looks like a good horror flick. And, I mean, it's happening across industries, not just film and entertainment, but I mean, if you look at NFL head coaches, so many young guys are getting head coaching jobs in their late 30s, early 40s. And at first, it's like one of those things like they're way too young. They haven't earned their keep. And I think a lot of old industries, the standard would be like you work like 20 years, you build your way up, then you get the opopportunity to do that while you're in the industry.
Yeah.
But
the Eagles just won the Super Bowl.
Crazy.
Young coach.
And the guy, the Rams head coach, Sean McVay. Sean McVay. He was like 38, I think, when he got the job head coaching, which is insane.
I think he was like
even younger,
maybe our age.
But he's got the right mind. He knows what he's doing, and clearly they do know what they're doing. But I think that's probably something to do with it, like in The Social Network, like you said, where Sean Parker's talking about how when he was trying to start a business after Napster, none of the older execs wanted him running the ship, and they muscled him out of the company. Then he gets Facebook, though. Mm-hmm. So I think there's something to that for sure. In film, for sure. I mean, it's an old industry. It's been around for over 100 years. Hollywood's been around for over 100 years. And it's changed so much, especially the last 20 years. But I think because a lot of those actors were still in that old system, which lasted a long time, maybe that's their mindset. I don't want a 28-year-old guy tell me what to do. I'm sure Spielberg had some issues on the Jaws set, probably. And it's like James Cameron going and doing Aliens. He's probably in his 30s, early 40s, too.
Yeah. Yeah. And Boogie Nights ended up being like the best film that year.
It's not like young directors never made amazing movies
it's always
before.
happened, yeah. But it's just like it's the clashing of an old head with a young head. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And look at Willem Dafoe. He'll work with anyone. He doesn't care how young the director is.
Yeah.
If he believes in the project. Like, Willem Dafoe is a very malleable performer, and he's more about if he believes in the project, he will give himself up to it. And then you contrast that with what PTA dealt with Burt Reynolds on Boogie Nights, where he was someone who didn't want to be malleable for this young director. It's a different approach. And
Sean Baker had him painting hotels in the Florida Project.
And Willem Dafoe loved it.
You're going to babysit a bunch of kids all day.
Yeah.
I'm like, whatever.
In a way, it could be an ego thing, and which would prevent someone from trusting another, like a very young person, especially when you're doing it a new way. Like Gene Hackman made movies for 60 years, and then here comes Wes Anderson with like this new whole completely different filmmaking style. I mean, trying to adjust that, and you're like, I don't know what the fuck we're doing here. I get that.
Plus, maybe his personality, because Wes seems like a very confident, hysterical, sarcastic guy who's just sort of just always thinking about different things constantly because he's a genius. You ever seen the American Express ad that Wes Anderson did?
Yeah, it's great.
It's so funny. Yeah. He's like talking about it's all like an allegory for filmmaking, how the American Express card facilitates that for him. But it's so funny. He's literally the characters that he writes. That's Wes Anderson's, where he's like very dry humor, always one-liners constantly. And maybe that's what Gene didn't like about it.
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah,
who knows?
Yeah,
that's interesting.
It ended up being a really good movie.
It's fucking awesome. I love the Royal Tenenbaums.
Did you read at all about Gene Hackman's death?
About his death? No.
It's very suspicious.
Oh, really?
He's not the one who died. He died. He was found dead. His wife was found dead, and their dog was found dead.
What?
In their apartment. You didn't read this?
No.
Nobody knows. It's being investigated right now.
I thought because he's 95 that it was natural.
No, it's being investigated. The guy who like owns the apartment building went to check up on them because he hadn't heard from them in weeks, and all three, so he and his wife and then their dog were dead.
What the heck?
Yeah, that's what's so strange about it. People are saying there could have been a gas leak or possible suicide or possible nefarious situation. But nobody knows. It's being looked into right now. Nobody knows what happened.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah, it wasn't just him. Yeah, it was all three passed away.
That's really sad.
Isn't that? It's very strange. Very strange.
Here we go. Here I got front door to the residence was found ajar by two maintenance workers, Gene Hackman and his wife Betsy Arakawa, and their dog were found dead in separate rooms. Their bodies had been dead for some time. Arakawa was in mummification phase, according to the authorities in New Mexico. No sign of a gas leak. Hackman was found in his mudroom near the kitchen, while Arakawa was discovered in the bathroom. Next
Door
to the
open,
portable
wow.
heater. Prescription bottle and scattered pills were found near Arakawa. The dog was found in the bathroom closet 10 to 15 feet away. 2 other healthy dogs were found inside and outside the house. So they had a couple other dogs, but one of them died.
Mm-hmm. Strange situation. Door open.
Goodness.
Yeah, front door ajar.
Man, I hope that this gets discovered, and hopefully it was an accident, because that's pretty rare for 2 people to just to die. Michelle Trachtenberg passed away too.
Yeah, didn't she had some kind of ailment, right?
She had
she's
cane. 39 years old. She was having kidney failures, I believe.
Oh my God.
And I think she was trying to she had a kidney transplant, but I don't think it went well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that her body accepted it completely. I think that led to her death, but she died so young. It's so
It's
sad.
awful. 39
years old.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and then she was in a bunch of big TV shows. You know, she was in Buffy the Vampire Slayer for a lot of people who watched that show growing up.
We watched her in Eurotrip.
Eurotrip. I've seen her, and then I've seen her in some other stuff too. She's in Mysterious Skin, I believe.
Oh yeah, with Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah, she's in Mysterious Skin.
She's in Mysterious Skin.
That's really sad.
Yeah, it's very young. 39. That sucks to have to deal with kidney failure in your 30s. Like, we're all very lucky if you are if you're healthy and you have 10 fingers and toes. You should be thankful.
Yeah, she's almost nothing you can do if you. It's tough to get on those lists, and it's tough to just get it, and then sometimes your body will reject the other organ.
Yeah,
there's no guarantee. Yeah, I'm looking up. Her recent red carpet appearances, which she hasn't been doing. She has a cane.
Yeah,
you're right.
I remember images.
Very fashionable with a cane.
Yeah.
Well, she got a glass one in one of them. That's cool.
Yeah, it's too bad.
That's really sad. Life's precious.
Yeah, man. People die.
Oh man, that's sad. Sad. I'm sad now.
Yeah, we can lighten it up.
What's your favorite Gene Hackman movie?
That's a good question. I gotta go with The Conversation.
It's a good pick.
Yeah, and then Crimson Tide. Yeah, for it's just fun.
Crimson Tide, I think, is my favorite one. I think that's such a good movie. Such a good fucking movie, man.
And then French Connection.
Yeah. Hoosiers, pretty good. It's a good role.
But French Connection that made $400 million.
Did it really?
Yeah.
When it came out?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
William Friedkin. He did French Connection, then Exorcist. They both made over $400 million.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen French Connection 2?
No. Never seen it.
Never seen it.
I've never been interested in seeing it. He came back for it, but
yeah, no.
Friedkin didn't, and then Schneider didn't.
Yeah.
Scheider, I mean. I wouldn't really be interested in seeing it. It's fine.
Yeah.
Imagine if like a movie makes $400 million, you're getting 8 movies out of that now.
Well, no, $400 million.
The Spanish Connection, the German Connection.
Depends on the budget.
Oh yeah,
$400 million on a.
Oh no, I mean like a small movie like that.
Yeah,
a cop
that's what I'm
movie.
saying.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. But I mean, if your movie costs $400 million,
the British Connection. Yeah, it's about $800 million right now. If you're gonna adjust it,
probably more. That's insane.
Well, I mean, that's what people don't realize, how like the biggest hits of their day, there were movies like that. Because the studios used to make movies for adults. Adults were the number one target audience for films. But then PG-13 comes out, the 80s happen, franchises, more movies for kids. They're like, oh wait, there are more teenagers that go to movies than adults do, and that's where we are now. The 14-year-olds are the number one demographic for film going.
Is it?
So that's why.
Let me pull that up.
That's why movies are made for them. That's why movies are geared. Like big movies, oftentimes are geared towards younger audiences because they go to the movies more than anyone.
Age demographics for movies. Let's pull this up.
Pull it up. Who sees the most movies?
25 to 39.
25 to 39.
See 24% of ticket or 24% of ticket sales. 25 to 39, but 12 to 17 makes up 13%. So 12 to 24.
But also you got to factor in the parents. So if you count the kids, oftentimes they're going with a parent who is 30 to 39.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know what I mean?
That's fair to say.
You could put that a lot of them into that. The reason why the kids are going.
But younger people see more movies. That's the thing as well.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
No, but like they're seeing more movies than adults.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
12 to 24-year-olds are seeing almost twice as many movies as everyone else.
That's exactly what I'm saying. That's why studios have geared their releases towards younger audiences. And it's narratives and characters that are easier for kids to accept. That's why all these big movies, whether it be Marvel or Star Wars, like whatever, it feels like kind of a little dumbed down narrative-wise because they're making them for kids. Because that's their number one cheddar cheese maker.
Cheddar cheese.
They make the most cheddar off of kids. That's why we get so many movies that are like they feel like they're made for kids.
Mm-hmm.
That's why
we've always been seeing movies that are made. For kids.
I'm not saying they never made movies for kids, but I'm saying like this is why an entire industry is revolving around making movies for kids now.
Yeah, it seems like it. A lot of the times, it seems like it. All right, well, this has been a fun episode.
Yeah, that was cool. I liked it.
It was pretty fun.
It was a fun chat.
Yeah, I like just going off the cup. We might have to do this more often. I'm curious what people are going to respond to with it.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
It was no prep.
No prep at all.
No prep
that
required.
Was the best part.
I just got back from the gym and we recorded.
Yeah. Look at you. Put a hat on and everything.
I put it backwards too.
You put a hat on backwards. Look at him.
Yeah. My girlfriend likes it backwards.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode. Make sure to go interact with our Mickey 17 interview content on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. We appreciate everyone who's been dropping comments and love on those videos. That's how we get the gigs, is all the engagement that you're all giving us on those videos. So hopefully we get more interviews in the future because that was surreal, and we hope you had an amazing time listening to it and watching it. Be sure to become a patron today at patreon.com/Raiders of the Lost Podcast. Subscribe on YouTube. Leave those 5-star ratings and reviews on Spotify and Apple. And take care, everyone.
See you next time.
This episode was brought to you by our chosen one patrons, Jacob Kossler and Nicholas Martin. Thanks so much, boys. Raiders of the Lost Podcast is a mirror image production. Sound mixing done by Jacob Kossler. Opening music by Chase Jackson.